In this video, you're going to learn what the heck this thing is, what it's used for, who it's not for, and a whole bunch of other good stuff. And it's all in the name of helping you learn how to come back stronger. So this is the Achilles, and I'm going to talk about some really cool things that it can do. But first, I want to level with anyone watching this video. As you know, I'm a straight shooter. So I saw this device online and I knew that it would be extremely beneficial for many of the patients and athletes I work with in the clinic and in the gym. So I reached out to the Achilles team to see if they wanted to collaborate. Now, the agreement of this collaboration was that Achilles would send me this device and that after putting it through its paces, both on myself and with my patients, that I would give it an honest review. And that's what I'm going to do here. Now, let's acknowledge that I'm some guy on the internet whom you don't know. And while I'm happy to spread the word about this device because I truly do feel that it has a place in the world of ankle rehab and ankle health, I completely understand and want you to be guarded when watching a review that is part of a collaboration. That being said, anytime you watch a review on any product, on any channel, including mine, I always advocate that you see if you can watch multiple reviews, especially reviews that are not sponsored in any way. And Achilles isn't paying me for this content, but they have provided this piece of equipment for me to use with my patients, and so it's easy not to take my thoughts on this device all that seriously. I get that, and I completely respect that. Now, with that being said, everything that I do say in this video are my own thoughts and opinions and so on, and the folks at Achilles don't get any input into this video, nor do they get to see it before it's released. But I bring up this preamble since I want anyone who watches my content to always be wise with their resources and to know that I view it as my responsibility here on this channel to put people before products. But just so we're clear, I am a big fan of what the folks at Achilles have come up with, and so with that boring preamble out of the way, let's talk about it. So the Achilles is essentially what it looks like. It's a metal frame with multiple resistance bands that can be configured to different arrangements to specifically target muscles of the lower leg, which can then move and control the ankle. And in that regard, it's surprisingly versatile. And I say that because despite its name, the Achilles does far more than just strengthen the Achilles tendon. You can, in fact, use it for any other muscles and subsequent tendons that cross over the ankle and anchor down onto the foot. Now, it is a valid question to wonder if you can just do these resisted ankle movements by just rigging up some Theraband and perhaps getting a bit creative. And the answer here is that yes, of course you can. And there are times where this will work just fine. But there are also plenty of other times where this will be a bit too limiting, which I'll touch on in just a moment. Again, I am not here to be a salesman. Yes, for many people, the Achilles will get the job done in ways that Theraband can't touch, but you can certainly always start with Theraband and then ride that out until you feel too limited with what it offers. And I'll expand on this more in just a moment, but first, let's talk about what the Achilles brings to the table when compared to other ankle rehab devices. So there's no shortage of other outstanding ankle rehab and prehab devices on the market, and the Achilles isn't trying to replace them, rather to complement them. You see, not all ankle rehab devices are necessarily trying to accomplish the same thing. And I'm in no way saying that the Achilles replaces anything else, because again, it was never intended to do so. But what it does so beautifully is that it's filling a long needed gap that has been missing in the world of ankle rehab and prehab, notably with providing resistance in any plane of motion that can be produced by the ankle. And trust me, the resistance that this thing can offer can be downright challenging depending on which level of resistance band you're using and which type of band configuration you've set up in the cage. You see, many ankle devices are designed for optimizing mobility of the ankle or improving proprioception around the joint, which is indeed critical for achieving and maintaining healthy ankles, and these other devices can achieve strengthening benefits to an extent. Now, to be clear, I use many of these devices with my patients and my athletes because every tool has a time and a place, but their limitation tends to be with what they can offer with dedicated multiplanar strengthening around the ankle and the lower leg. And simply put, there are times when implementing a dedicated ankle resistance protocol is absolutely integral to an individual's injury rehab or injury prevention down the road. So here's a simple breakdown to help illustrate this point. For ankles, or for any other body part for that matter, in order for them to be healthy, you need to have a trifecta of strength, mobility, and motor control of that particular body part. And if you lack any one of these criteria, then pain, dysfunction, impaired performance, and injury are much more likely to result. The Achilles plays strongly to the strengthening aspect of this trifecta, but depending on how you rig up the bands and implement your exercises when using it, you can also get plenty of movement control training out of it as well. Now, a quick pro tip for any of you who want to get the most out of your ankle rehab is to, if appropriate, perform your ankle exercises with your eyes closed. And this forces your brain to receive more sensory information from the movement occurring within your ankle, which is integral to optimal ankle rehabilitation. And this is quite important since we know that ankle proprioception is often impaired following injury to this region of the body, which can predispose individuals to re-injury if not addressed. So once my patients and athletes get familiar with having their foot in the Achilles or on any other ankle device for that matter, I tell them that a good portion of their ankle rehab will be done with their eyes closed. And it makes a difference with how their brain can feel and interpret movement occurring within their ankle. And it's pretty fun to watch the differences that arise when they use the Achilles with their eyes open versus their eyes closed. So there's a free tip for any of you out there looking to optimize your ankle rehab, no matter which devices you're using or which exercises you're performing. Again, provided it's appropriate for you to do so. So with the Achilles, the cage can be rigged up in a manner that provides resistance in all planes or specific planes based on one's needs. And there's no shortage of configurations here. However, I personally have found that the web configuration and the chamber configuration tend to be the ones that I most often use. So in regard to strengthening, the Achilles doesn't replace many of these other outstanding ankle rehab devices that address other aspects of foot and ankle rehab, nor is it necessarily meant to. But again, it's rather meant to augment one's ankle rehab or prehab by offering a metaphorical angle of attack that other devices can't quite offer. And as I keep saying, it does this exceptionally well. And when I say exceptionally well, I mean that you put your foot in this thing and start to perform some resisted movements, and it quickly becomes apparent that this thing can target and strengthen the muscles of the lower leg in a way that few other devices can. And I am absolutely all for it. So after using this thing for a handful of months, I will say that I feel the Achilles lends itself quite nicely to a few different environments and types of users. So let's talk about it. First and foremost, with my line of work, I will say that the Achilles is invaluable to orthopedic rehabilitation clinics, notably physical therapy clinics such as where I work, as we see multiple types and extents of ankle injuries and conditions all day long. The Achilles opens up numerous options for rehabbing the various types of issues that orthopedic physical therapists such as myself tend to see. So I myself am just one of those guys who wants to give the best treatment and service possible to my patients and athletes, and the Achilles fills such a needed gap that I see no reason not to have it, at least for my clinical practice. Achilles tendinopathies, Achilles reconstruction, tibialis posterior tendinopathies, peroneal tendon repairs, high ankle sprains, fractures, and so many other conditions can be attacked with the Achilles as part of a well-rounded foot and ankle rehab program. And again, I am all for it. So I firmly believe that having the Achilles in the clinic offers a higher level of service for patients who are seeking and deserve effective ankle rehab services. The second environment that I believe the Achilles will be a welcome addition for, in my opinion, is with sports teams, which can include athletic therapists and strength coaches. And that's because this thing offers just as much for injury prevention or prehabilitation as it does for injury rehabilitation. If an athlete has a dysfunctional or painful ankle, their ability to achieve optimal athletic performance can be dramatically reduced, or it can even grind to a complete halt. And what makes the Achilles highly practical here is how athletic therapists can utilize it as a rehabilitation-based device, and strength coaches or trainers can absolutely use it for preventative measures, especially for athletes who no longer have a symptomatic ankle and need to ensure it stays as strong and healthy as possible. Now, the portability factor here is also a massive bonus, as it packs up quite easily and it can be transported in a hassle-free manner without taking up tons of space or weighing down those who are perhaps taking it on the road from one environment to the next. And so that leaves us with one more environment, which just might be the most important one to discuss. So what about the individual who wants one for home use? So this is where I would say that there is some defining criteria that should be met if you're looking to purchase the Achilles, because it's an absolutely outstanding piece of kit to have if the conditions are right. And these conditions are in place due to its price point. Now, I always want my viewers to practice financial health and not just physical health. Now, I have no issue with its price, but it might be an issue for those who want one for personal use, but who are on an otherwise tight budget. And I want to help you understand whether or not it will be an optimal purchase for you. In that regard, if you're considering purchasing this device, the first thing to mention here is that the Achilles needs to be seen as an investment because it's not the cheapest piece of kit on the market. And in that regard, you need to know that you'll get the most out of your money if you use it as part of a dedicated ankle health routine over the long run. So what do I mean by this? Well, if you're a casual weekend warrior who every now and then gets a mildly sore ankle, or you have a rather one-off minor ankle sprain, you can get by without this device just fine. I mean, if money is absolutely no issue, then sure, pick one up. But otherwise, I'd say that you can likely incorporate effective rehab strategies without the Achilles. And I say that since I believe that the Achilles is really for those who either have rather chronic ongoing ankle issues or those who really need to invest in their ankle health in terms of their athletic performance or their occupational performance being on the line. So examples of these types of individuals would be those who are recovering from nasty traumatic ankle injuries, a surgical intervention from their ankle, say on an Achilles repair, when the timelines are right to use it, of course, and then those who want to remain highly active with their lifestyle or sport-related endeavor, or those who have rigorous occupational demands that require a lot out of their ankles. So another example here would be athletes and workers who don't have ankle injuries, but who do need to keep their ankles strong and healthy due to their athletic or occupational career or just overall livelihood being on the line. And this is especially true for those who have a history of repeated ankle injuries and need to ensure that the likelihood of these injuries from returning is kept to an absolute minimum. If you fall into any of the above scenarios, then the Achilles can be a solid investment. But if you find that money might be an issue, then the good news here is that you can certainly start out with some basic Theraband exercises, which we now need to circle back to. As I alluded to earlier, there are plenty of times when Theraband can get the job done, but there can be notable limitations with doing so. When comparing general Theraband exercises to the Achilles, the analogy I'd make here is that general Theraband usage is like a two-wheel drive car that can travel on flat roads, while the Achilles is a four-wheel drive SUV that can navigate flat roads and more challenging terrain as well, which is necessary for certain individuals. It just offers so much more versatility that is often needed for specific scenarios. To elaborate a bit further, the main challenge with generalized Theraband is that it tends to be ideal for strengthening one particular movement at a time, and that you might need to have some type of object to attach the band to. And this can just be quite limiting to where you can perform the exercise. Again, just so much of this depends on your individual condition and overall circumstances, and the good news here is that you can almost always get something out of general Theraband, but those with chronic ankle issues will likely find this approach to be quite limiting, impractical, or some combination of the two. That being said, if the Achilles isn't in your budget or you're not sure if it's the right investment for you to make, don't think that you're hopeless without it. You can still make some solid things happen with generalized Theraband, and as time goes on, you'll likely know if and when you're ready to step up to the Achilles for further strengthening options. So, at the end of the day, as a physical therapist, I will tell you that this is an outstanding and highly welcomed addition to my rehab arsenal for foot and ankle injuries. For those who deal with chronic ankle issues and want to ensure their athletic or physical performance isn't compromised by these circumstances, I see it as an investment that can pay some rather significant dividends, provided you use it regularly and put in the work. No matter where your ankles are at, know that there are plenty of great rehabilitation strategies and devices out there that can help you with crafting your comeback story. So every tool has a time and a place, and in the case of the Achilles, it brings some long needed strengthening interventions to the table in the world of ankle rehabilitation. All right, so that is the scoop on the Achilles. Everyone, keep looking after yourselves, keep looking after one another, keep making great things happen, and I will see you in the next video.